Welcome to Module 2, Prioritizing Issues and Setting Expectations. Our objective here is to help you, the parents, to identify chaotic dynamics and focus on the most important pressing issues. So identifying problem areas more often than not are going to be where we're inconsistent. And if you're like me, there are times that I have a really great idea, but it's really difficult to actually follow through on. And when that happens, then we start to be inconsistent. When that takes place, then we're back into that similar place that I talked about before, where kids are feeling like they don't have the boundaries and the limits, and they don't feel like you've got this. So what we want to try to do is reduce the amount of inconsistencies. If there are some things that you put into practice that you just couldn't tell were going to be too difficult to uphold, then it's time to go back and revisit. So that's what we can do with this living, breathing family agreement. All right, so I want to try to give you a couple of examples of where we might take the bait and get into our inconsistencies, or rather get into our patterns where, and I like to use the infinity symbol, I'll draw it up here for you, where we get into our patterns where we just get stuck in this loop and it's infinite until we do something to interrupt it. So taking the bait is a great example where you've kids that know you pretty well, and now they're getting a little bit older, they're getting a little bit more sophisticated, and sometimes can manipulate you by pushing your buttons. And when they do that, we might fall into the pattern of you're being disrespectful, and now we're dart throwing and name calling, and we're doing all of the things that keep us from being able to actually address what the issue might be. That creates those inconsistencies, and maybe you might even go so far as to give a consequence that doesn't really fit what's happening here, or to stack consequences one on top of another until your kid thinks, I'm so screwed, I might as well just burn this whole thing down. That is a great example of how when we interrupt those patterns, things end up much, much different. Rather than going towards whatever you consider this disrespectful behavior to be, to say, I don't think we're upholding the values right now. Now, it's not an accusation and it's not an attack of character. And if you are starting to hear attacks on character, which is the bait, don't take it. Instead, just say, I want us to operate by these family values. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back to this.